review is predicated on the logic of incentivizing good behavior, of ensuring the security of those that live up to their obligations, and provides no assurance to those that either have a nuclear weapon or, in the case of Iran and North Korea, aren't living up to its obligations. I think it's a obviously we're entering into a different period with relative stability and peace among larger countries in the world. This is a posture review obviously designed to drill down a bit on places like North Korea and Iran, and to demonstrate to countries around the world, as I said earlier, if you live up to those obligations, you will enjoy the benefits of being an active, responsible member of the international community. Yes, sir.
A couple things on the NPR. Is it true that the administration was considering a blanket no first-use policy as recently as a few weeks ago?
I can check with those. I was not in the 150 or so meetings that.
Also, I'm told that during the campaign, then candidate Obama talked about de-alerting the nuclear forces. Is that true? And if so, why did he?
Well, I will say this: we obviously have bombers that are no longer on alert. We have ICBMs and sea-based missiles that do remain on alert status. Our forces are configured in such a way that a retaliatory strike does not need to be launched at the first detection of a foreign launch. The nuclear posture review proposes that we consider a series of options that extend presidential decision-making time by strengthening command and control apparatus around those nuclear weapons, and that we open discussions with Russia to reduce the possibility of either an accidental launch or a false detection of a launch.
So you consider this a version of a de-alert policy?
Well, I think that the president believes that this gives, extending that decision-making time gives a president the ability to ensure that that decision is, whatever decision he makes is one that's based on the best available information for the longest period of time. Steve?
Thanks. There's been several very serious bomb attacks in Baghdad over the last couple of days. How closely is the White House following the situation? Is there any concern that the continued political vacuum following the elections could offer a window for insurgents?
Well, I think many expected that insurgents would use this time to roll back the progress, both militarily and politically, that we've seen in Iraq. The leadership and team here have spoken with our ambassador and with General Odierno. He believes that he believes that this does not threaten our ability to draw down our forces later in the year. And obviously we are very focused on, and Vice President Biden is very focused on, the steps that need to be taken to ensure political advancement in Iraq after these elections. Yes, ma'am.
Back on China really quick, can you give a little more detail on what the president is expecting out of this meeting with President Xi next week? That the NPR mentioned several times the need for transparency with their nuclear arsenal.
Right.
Is there anything tangible he's expecting?
Well, look, I think obviously proliferation will be a big part of that. Obviously, whenever we get together with China, discussions about energy will be on the table, discussions about the global economic recovery, and certainly discussions about what the president has talked about in terms of a market-based currency will be on there. We'll have something, again, more detailed at the conclusion of it. Yes, ma'am. I think it's And I think right now it's scheduled for, if I'm not mistaken, Monday morning. So, yes, ma'am.
Robert, on two things, on Karzai and the statements, what kind of credibility concerns are there when it comes to Karzai's commitment to find Osama bin Laden?
Well, look, I don't want to get into, from up here, the efforts that are ongoing to specifically root out and identify and capture terrorists. You've seen the president step up the pacing in this region of the world, in both Afghanistan and in the surrounding countries, to the point that has degraded the capabilities of al-Qaeda. And I would just leave it at that.
Has he caused any kind of concerns in this administration about his credibility? Are you concerned that there are credibility issues with him after these statements about voting in his country?
About what?
The voting statements in his country.
Well, again, I think that we've found the remarks to be continue to be troubling. I think people that read the remarks here don't understand, based on, as I said earlier, based on the notion that what he alleges has fully been investigated.
But I understand about the remarks, but does it lend you to feel like, okay, it might permeate into other areas? It's not just about this one area.
Well,
are there concerns about other areas?
Again, we have, and the president has been concerned about governance and corruption in Afghanistan before the election, during the time period in which the election was in flux, and on the phone call congratulating President Karzai on his re-election. So obviously the team spent an enormous amount of time discussing governance and corruption during the Afghanistan-Pakistan review that took place over the fall, over many hours.
And also Black Ministers meeting. Why was it important to have today, and why did it even happen?
I don't have a readout on the meeting. Obviously, the president wanted to, as we celebrate Easter, have folks here at the White House to share in what is a very important holiday for many, and I will try to get a readout of some more specifics.
But not necessarily the readout, but they were a subset before the whole meeting.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to know why.
Yeah, I think the president just wanted an opportunity to talk to them about the work that the administration is continuing to do. Bill?
Robert, on the census, Eric Erickson's a commentator for CNN a couple of days ago. He said he was not going to fill out a census form, and if a census worker came to the door, quote, he said he would pull out my wife's shotgun and see how that little twerp likes being scared at the door. So my question is, do those remarks concern the White House, and
It should concern CNN, if probably first and foremost.
But any thoughts or
I'd
talk-
concern, it probably concerns his wife as well.
Any thoughts about protection for census workers?
Well, I think there are a lot of people that get on cable TV and say stuff so that people will quote it back to other people. Obviously, the census determines the representation you have in what we call representative democracy. I think it's why somebody like Karl Rove, who obviously I and others in this administration have disagreed with for going on many years, understands that the lunacy of ripping up your census form, or not sending it in, or, God forbid, the remarkably crazy remarks of somebody that would threaten somebody simply trying to ensure that they're adequately represented in this country.